So there will be some times when you're in a project trying to get it ready to send out to the shop or send it to a customer, and it's just not working the way that it should be. So that's what we got going on in this video. We got some hardware that's just not cooperating. Somehow one of the prompts in the background got hard-coded. Not sure exactly how, but that's really not the point. The point is we got to go figure out how to fix this so we can get this project moving along. So we're going to do a little bit of troubleshooting, going inside of the product and inside of the subassembly and figuring out what's going on so we can fix this problem. So if you're ready, let's do this. So this is what we got going on. We have these 4 base cabinets. We want the locks turned on. So whether we want them on for the entire project or just inside of the product. Currently, I just have them turned on locally. So we don't have the locks turned on the entire project. But if we needed to, right, we go into a hardware wizard, turn on all locks, and that's how these locks are turned on. But really, that's not the point. The point is when I go back into the prompts and I try to turn this lock off, whether I do it locally or at the hardware wizard, see what's happening. We still have this lock turned on. So something's not working. We got to figure out why that is. So the first thing that I want to do is take a look at this door and figure out why the lock hardware is still coming in. So if I go into the part properties and I select hardware, you can see we don't have any hardware on the product. So that means that it's coming in from a subassembly. Now this is usually a sign that something's happened. This red folder means it's been saved to the row, so it's now a unique subassembly, so carrying some different kind of values than all the other subassemblies with the same name. Now we can take a look at our hardware tab. There it is, Olympus cam lock. We have our quantity, and the quantity is looking to lock door. Okay, so that's the next step. We go into the prompts, and we find our locked door prompt. Now, working in part properties, you don't get the option to use that pull-down menu and search in alphabetical order. So you just got to scroll down and find it. But lock door, there it is. And when we select it, we see a value of 1. Okay, so that's been hard-coded. That's not what we want. Because every time we draw this product now, that lock is going to be on regardless what we tell the hardware wizard or the local prompts. So let's close out of this. I just wanted to show you this other cabinet's coming in from the library with all its default settings. As we open up part properties and dig into this subassembly. Same thing with the hardware. You find there it is. We found it, quantity, look into the locked door prompt. Go into the prompt locked door. There's the value coming in from a formula, a lookup table that lets this product know whether it needs to have that lock on or not. Now we're back looking at our broken cabinets here. You could just go right into the subassembly and turn that lock off that way, right? By going into our subassembly, see modify subassemblies, show subassembly prompts, and then into that right door. Now under the hardware options, we could just uncheck this lock door. But that's really just kind of putting a band-aid on the problem. We want to figure out what's going on with this data, so we don't want to do that. Before we revert this subassembly back, I want to go into edit design data and show you the same information, just looking at it through a different interface. Sometimes it's a little easier to go through the prompts this way. And by selecting the door, it takes me right into that subassembly workbook. So there's the S representing the S workbook, subassembly workbook. Go to the hardware tab, just like in part properties, we can see the different pieces of hardware that are being used. There's our locked door. You can double click or hit F2, little shortcut to open up our edit formula window. Now into the prompts to find locked door instead of scrolling. Just going to go up here. You can see how the name is highlighted. If it is, just type in L. Takes you down to our defined name starting with L. And there's our locked door. Okay, and there's the value. So just showing you inside of edit design data what this value or what this prompt looks like. So the way that we're going to fix this is reverting the subassembly. And to do that, we're going to go back into part properties. Now we could just do it here by going back up into our local workbook, right-clicking on that subassembly, and reverting the unique row subassembly. So that's an option, but like I said, we're not going to do that. We're going to go back into part properties. We're going to do this to the first product, and then I'll show you another way that we can do it to the other 3. So just right-clicking, reverting subassembly. And you can see the folder turned green, so that's a good sign. Back to the subassembly from the template. And there's our locked door prompt, giving us that formula. So that's the way to fix that problem. Okay, so now we have 3 other cabinets that we got to do the same thing to. We could go into part properties, revert the subassembly that way. But if there's more than 3 in the project, you might want to do it a different way. So we have that option by going inside of the product list. Now that we're in our product list, we have these other 3 cabinets that are still broken. If I wanted to, I can just double check by going into the parts list, into the subassembly file. So we're back in the same S workbook, just like edit design data, into our prompts tab. So this cabinet's also got that lock door prompt hard coded. All right, so we got to fix that. Now what I can do is have one of these selected, right click in here and go to rebuild subassemblies from the library. Now we have this window that opens up. We have our project subassemblies and unique subassemblies. So now these subassemblies would be subassemblies that you have saved at the project level. So if finished faces were saved throughout your entire project, you would select this one here, it would remove it, and then bring in the new one from the template. Because we have just unique subassemblies, we can go under here, find our cabinets 202, 203, and 204, hit OK, and now we're going to rebuild these subassemblies from the template. You just ask this question if you want to replace the entire thing or keep some existing prompt values. We don't want to keep the prompt values, so we're going to say yes. Open up your parts list again, same thing, finding the subassembly, that prompt, and taking a look at its value. So that would be a way that you could rebuild some of these subassemblies, more than just one, through the product list. Now, one other thing that I want to show you while we're in the product list and we're rebuilding things from the library is this other one right above it that says rebuild selected products from library. Now, using this option, we'll actually rebuild the parts list from the library. So let's pick on our product 202 again, into our parts list. See how we have all these values that are formula driven for the width and the length of these cut parts. Now, if something were to happen in here and somehow all these got overwritten, somebody accidentally did something and now the product isn't drawing correctly inside of Toolbox. See, some of those parts are gone, missing our right side and left side. Okay, so you don't need to bring it back in from your library. You can just go back into the product list. And this is when rebuild selected products from library comes into play. So hit OK. It's now been updated. You go back into your parts list and you can see everything is coming back in from the way it was in the library. Now this doesn't work for prompts though. So we'll use this add lock prompt as an example. So currently this is looking to our hardware workbook, figure out if it needs to have locks turned on or not. When I overwrite this and just add a value of 1, yes, we're going to add a lock to our product. Formula's been overwritten. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to rebuild the selected products from the library to get that prompt back. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That works for cut parts, but it doesn't work for prompts. But for cut parts, like I said, have all kinds of weird things going on in there. But just by rebuilding it, it's going to bring all that material right back. So that's a couple different ways that you can rebuild some subassemblies that are broken inside of your project, and also how you can rebuild products from the library. So hope that helps, and see you on the next one. For more information and other details on how to use the software, be sure to check out our knowledge base network on microvellum.com, and also connect with the other members of our Microvellum family on our community forums. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you around.